Heidi was actually on our people team for a couple years, and she recently moved over to a sales role because her passion was getting back in front of the customer. So I miss her a lot. She worked with me. But it's really exciting to see people's career paths and their passions move along and how Code 42 can support them. So anyway, here's Heidi, and I'm going to have her introduce our panel.
All right. All right. Thank you, everybody. So, very excited about this panel. The first person I want to invite up here is Amy Patton. She is the VP of Technology Operations at SPS Availability Requirements. Before joining SPS, Patton served as Vice President of Global Risk and Compliance, Security Operations, Incident Response, and Insider Threat Monitoring and Investigations. That's a mouthful. To her position, she brings more than 15 years of information security experience and a proven track record of building security programs. Prior to Code 42, JD held a number of senior leadership roles in the security department of Target Corporation, where she implemented key programs including compliance, risk management, insider threat assessments, and more. JD also spearheaded the effort to embed security resources into the development process, as well as the security plans behind the acquisition of software development and online retail companies. She was the security lead for the sale of Target pharmacies to CVS Health. Before joining Target, JD worked at Deloitte, where she served as security consultant for companies across diverse industries such as healthcare, manufacturing, energy, retail, and more. In addition to her day job at Code 42, JD is the founder and CEO of the nonprofit organization Building Without Borders, which serves those in poverty-stricken areas throughout the world housing services. In April 2015, Building Without Borders has built 39 homes in areas of the Dominican Republic. And finally, we have Lisa Mabley. She's a software engineer from Cloudburst, SBC. Lisa recently executed a midlife career pivot from advertising design to software engineering, graduated from Prime Digital Academy in 2016. She is currently a full-stack developer at Cloudburst, SBC. Lisa is passionate about mentoring and increasing opportunities for underrepresented groups in tech. All right. This is a warm-up. So, what is one software program or app that you cannot live without?
Well, I'm not going to. I'm going to say this is pretty embarrassing, but it's going to be iMessage because that's the only way that I can get a hold of my kids. They won't really talk to me unless I'm messaging them. Forget calling them because they're not going to answer the phone. So.
Okay, so mine is embarrassing as well. I love the app Jane. I don't know if you guys know this app, but ooh, get a Jane lover in the back. I'm pretty sure it's the last app I open before I go to bed, and I constantly am buying stuff at like midnight every night because the things on Jane are amazing. So that's my one app.
Okay, I have one that's sort of like that, but I banned myself from it, so that's not ThreadUp. The second hand, oh my gosh, but so that is a site that I do not, and the web thing I do not do anymore. The thing that I can't live without is Things. I am an obsessive, well not technically like diagnosably obsessive, but
Enthusiastic.
a very enthusiastic list maker, and I have many thousands of to-do items on my Things, and they're all grouped into different little categories and with tags and dates assigned to them, and it's very complicated, which is just how I like it.
All right, Amy, we can start with you on this one.
Oh, Lisa.
Oh, sorry, Lisa. No, I meant Amy.
Oh, I guess.
That's my bad. What is one tech company that you most admire?
So I think I have a little bit of trouble with that word admire because I feel like I should be talking about, a tech company that builds like solar panels and helps out people in other countries that don't have clean water. But I think I'm going to go with a word of just respect and look at as a leader in the technology field, and that would probably be Amazon. Specifically because I have a background in e-commerce, and so that area really interests me quite a bit, but also because they've really transformed the retail industry, and then the Amazon Web Services and AWS and cloud and infrastructure and operations is a big part of what I do, and so that has been very transformative in the work that my teams do, and so I really like with that company.
Tesla.
Yeah.
If anybody thinks they're a car company, they're not. So honestly, I mean, like if you think about what they've done, they've taken a giant battery and they've hooked it up to a giant computer, and they're releasing software to it like very regularly, and we drive it. And so that, I think they're fascinating. Not necessarily Elon Musk, but Tesla.
I'm seriously drawing a complete blank. Yeah, I'm gonna just pass on that one.
Well, let's just segue into, how about, who's a leader you most admire? Doesn't have to be in tech, just a leader.
Well, a local leader who I admire is Sarah Olson, who has done a lot with the Women Who Code, and I guess I just admire, I mean, not even her so much as just all the women that I see in our community who are helping to raise each other up and just democratize what's happening with tech. So it's not just like one smart person at the top who's got all the knowledge, but more like we can do more together.
I have two. So I have more of like a personal mentor. So Christian author Bob Goff, and the reason I admire him as a leader is he's 100% different from me, and I feel like I can learn a lot from that. So he's a Christian author that he sort of like lives this life of like adventure and whimsy, and says yes to kind of every single question that he's asked. And I wish I could do that. I'm more of a control freak, and so life goals to be more like Bob Goff. And then my other one is Werner Vogels. So he's the Chief Technology Officer at AWS. Incredible, innovative thinker. He sort of put out this pitch a while ago how everything's going to be controlled by voice in the future, and I sort of believe it. So just incredible, inspirational, kind of innovative technology thinker.
So you took mine. So I would absolutely say Werner as well is interesting to watch and listen to. He just is very talented. I loved watching the AWS keynotes last week because he's entertaining as well. And then I would say just personally from a mentor perspective, my current boss, Jamie Fingelstead, I have a great admiration for as well. He has passion for the technology, and kind of like you were saying, is very, I think, very different from me. And so I am inspired to think differently a lot, and so that motivates me to continue to grow.
Awesome. Here's a fun one. If you could have a meal with any one person, living or dead,
Can I have someone else answer first?
Absolutely. Put
Let's
JD
see.
on the spot.
Jesus. That's mine.
Maybe I'm biased since I just watched this documentary about Mr. Rogers.
I guess I kind of like to talk to Michelle Obama. I think she's had an interesting experience, and I'd like to hear a little bit more about the book that she's written and her experience.
Awesome. So let's shift gears and talk about diversity in tech. So currently women make up half of the total U.S. college educated workforce, but only 29% of science and engineering programs. In your opinion, what's the single biggest challenge that needs to happen in order to encourage more women to pursue technical careers?
I think it's a multifaceted problem. There's not any one thing, but you have to start earlier. And I think there's research that says the way we teach computer science to students can detract young women from being interested in computer science. In terms of, are we teaching the technical details of it, or are you teaching like real life experiences and how do you apply? Because science is showing that girls tend to learn a little bit differently than most boys do, and they might be turned off by some of the more tactical, here's the details versus here's how you actually apply it. And I think we need to be encouraging young women along the way as well, because what happens is even before you get to college and during college, they'll drop out and they'll be less interested. So having programs that really encourage girls to be interested in computer science and to understand that there's multiple ways to take that knowledge and to apply it, I think would help with it.
So I agree. I think the problem for sure is multifaceted, but it's almost like a perception problem overall. And so I think the perception needs to change, and so it's fun to see like the numbers change. So a year ago, that same study, it was like only 10% of women in technology roles, and it's changing, which is actually really encouraging. I guess from my perspective, I think it happens earlier and earlier within everyone's journey to just be exposed to more of this, and that's certainly happening. We hosted an event here with the Girl Scouts, and I can look out in the room and see all the Girl Scouts, and not all those Girl Scouts are going to choose to follow a passion in a field with technology, but the perception that they need to walk away with is that women can be successful in technology. And I think once that perception starts changing with this younger generation, you're going to see more women choose this field, as long as they can see strong women represented in this area.
You guys both kind of took mine, but I'll piggyback on both of those. Number one, I think, is the perception, and I feel like I was meant to be doing this, and this is like where I belong in life. But when I was 10, if you asked me what like a person who writes code for a living looks like, was definitely not female, or a person that I wanted to be. And I took a coding class in junior high school when I was like 12 or something, and we made a Space Invaders style shoot 'em up game. And I thought it was really dumb, and I didn't come back to it for over 30 years. I was the only girl in the class. And only when I came to be an adult and understand that coding could be a creative discipline, and it could be a way for me to, a tool for me to make the things that I want to make, that's when I started to see this as like, to understand that this is where I belong, and these people who work with code are like my tribe,
So, what do you think the best part about being in the tech industry is? More importantly, what do you think the best part about being a woman in the tech industry is? Take it away,
I feel like the best part of being a woman in the tech industry right now is just all of the huge energy and momentum that is there, and coming to events like these, and it's more exciting to be part of Women in Tech now, even if that means I didn't do it till 30 years later than I could have. Like, now I'm here and I'm like psyched to be here, and I feel like everybody else in this room feels the same way.
Yeah, to kind of piggyback on that, I mean, I think it's an exciting time to sort of open doors for other people and be leaders in this space so that others can see that you can be successful and there is a spot for you. It really is like on all of us sitting in the room, awesome women in tech, to like share that passion with others, and that's really fun.
I think to answer the first part of that, what I like most is just the constant change. There's constantly something to be learning. I get bored if I'm not learning something new, and so that's what really excites me about tech. And then to piggyback on what you were saying, today it's very different to be a woman in tech because I feel like even now there's more mentorship capability than when I was first in tech, and I feel like I can be more of the real me. I felt for so many years like I was trying to be part of the guys group and trying to fit into this mold that didn't quite meet who I was, and now I feel like I can really bring my own self to my job every day.
So it's no secret that the Me Too era has affected the tech industry. And many have felt that their gender has either negatively or positively affected the way that. So how did you embrace it, if it was a positive thing, or manage through it if it was negative?
Yes. I would say certainly in the tech industry, starting out was very different. And I worked at a company that had a manufacturing component, and it was interesting. I wrote software for the shop floor, and so when I would come to work and train people, I had to be very careful sometimes of what I would wear. And it was awkward because comments could be made, and so it was very uncomfortable for me at that time. So yes, I've certainly been part of that.
How did you manage through it?
Oh, how did I manage through it? I think at the time, I don't know how to explain it, but I kind of toughened up, and you realize that there are things that you just don't listen to. I would make sure that I would not be in situations where I would feel uncomfortable. I found a network of people that I could trust and that I could work with very closely. But I realized that in order for me to be good at my job, that I couldn't let someone else change my opinion of myself or the work I did. And so really just kind of finding that inner self and working through it.
So yes, I don't think anyone that has been a woman in tech hasn't probably felt some perceptions at some point in their career. I mean, nothing terrible has happened to me. I've been very fortunate, but in the same sense, you can remember some of those meetings where you probably weren't treated like an equal, and they stand out in your mind. So certainly, yes, I think it has happened. In terms of managing through it, you know, I think back to like my career, and I've always like surrounded myself with somebody says the same thing I just said, are going to speak up, and they're going to be like, well, Jamie just said that, or well, hang on, like let Jamie say something. And so, you know, for me, like I've hung on to those people. I work with those people today, and that has been really powerful.
I would say you're right. Probably just being a female in the industry, you know, as a minority, something's gonna come up, and but it doesn't have to be like problematic, especially. Well, it's problematic. I take that back, but it doesn't have to impact your career in a negative way. And I've had a couple of things. One was I went to an interview, and there was me and like 7 or so like identically dressed, you know, 20-something men in dark suits and me, and we were getting taken on a tour of the company, and we got to the data center, and the guy said like, oh hi, what's your name and your major, and okay, you're looking at this kind of job, and hi, nice to meet you, and then he just skipped me and launched into his pitch, and I was like, what, does he think I'm like the admin assistant who walking around here? I'm, you know, wearing a visitor badge and carrying like a little folder just like they are. But I think, I mean, also this wasn't his job. I think I heard that his boss was like sick that day, and he wasn't supposed to have to do this, and he got an email, and then he like had a bunch of note cards, and he was nervous, and whatever. I can understand that, I didn't look like the other people there for an interview. But then it had a negative impact on me in terms of, like, I was completely flustered, and the whole time he was talking, I wasn't listening at all. I was just thinking, like, should I say something? Why doesn't one of them say something? Do they notice how I've just been, like, passed over and ignored, like I'm not one of these people here applying for a job? And so it was very, like, dysregulating and certainly impacted my performance at that interview. And I didn't ever do anything about it in that case. But then later, after I got a job, within the first few months at my first job, an email went out to the entire company about a holiday party, and there was mention of Hooters as an after-party option. And by that point, I think as I've come along in my career, I've come to feel more confident in myself and the value I bring to my employers, and to see myself more as a leader who's making the company a more welcoming place for the women who come after me. So I would say I had no hesitation in that case, and I wrote like a 2-page long email to the CEO of the company and copied my boss and my boss's boss. And yeah, then everybody was like really, really, really sorry and coming to talk to me, and like they learned something, and that's not going to happen again there. And the CEO's like close friends were like, no, he's really, really upset. He feels terrible. I mean, that wasn't my goal, but I'm glad people are going to be more careful going forward, and I feel like I succeeded in making that company a better place for the women who work there after me.
So let me actually piggyback off that for you, Lisa. So you've been in tech now for a couple of years, obviously working in very male-dominated environments. How do you successfully have your opinion heard in those environments? This is a question for all three of you.
I guess I've been fortunate that I've generally worked with small teams, like maybe 2 or 3 people, and I haven't ever been like at a giant boardroom table talking about how we want to build the software. Like it's usually been me and a couple other people, and I haven't felt that kind of environment where people aren't listening to me that I've noticed.
I'm the master at questions. And so I think women have this like innate ability to like not be so challenging that you're gonna immediately create defenses in whoever you're challenging, but we're strategic about like the questions we ask and the way that we want to get our voice heard. And so when I have an opinion on something, I'm not going to forcefully yell at whoever I'm talking to, but I am going to ask questions that are going to get the person to think differently. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to have a male peer ask those questions.
I mean, it depends on the situation, but if I have a proposal, I'm an over-preparer. So I will prepare quite a bit and make sure that I feel very confident in what I'm pitching, think about different ways that people might poke holes in it, to the point where then I can gain some confidence. And I find that when I have that confidence, I can make sure that my voice is heard, or at least that I get people listening. They might not agree with me, but they'll listen. I think in less formal situations, it is, again, just about not giving up. If you're not being listened to, restating it, maybe stating it slightly differently. And again, feeling that confidence that you have a right to be listened to. And then, again, the asking questions is a great one because it will get people understanding that you have different ways to look at things and that you have something to say, even if they're not listening, but they eventually will.
So, Amy and JD, you've earned a seat at the table. How many women join you at that table right now in your companies?
So I am the only VP as a woman at SPS in tech. but we do have other women in leadership. We have a director, a senior director, that is a woman as well, and other managers, but as a VP.
We have 11 people as part of our executive team, and 3 are women, which I'm calling success. Yep.
Well, how do you think the leadership team in the company, for that matter, benefit from having women in those leadership positions?
Yeah, so, I mean, it's really about diversity. And so if you think of, like, I've always thought of this, like in the security industry, we haven't solved problems for like years. I mean, passwords, how are we doing passwords? Like, it's just, we have constant problems. And I think about this a lot, like, you know, in the security industry, it's mostly made up of white males who are ex-military. And when you have an industry made up of all the same type of people, or mostly the same type of people, you have a huge lack of diversity of thought. And so I always like wonder, like, gosh, in the security industry, have we not solved like a lot of the problems that we need to solve because we're lacking so much diversity of thought in this space. And I think like for Code 42, like for our benefit, like, I mean, women think differently than men. Like that's a fact, right? That's a fact. And so again, like the benefit that Code 42 receives, the benefit that all of our companies receive that have women in leadership roles is really just that. It's just this like very diverse way of thinking about things. Just simple things that come up in those discussions, like having kind of that other perspective is really powerful.
You know, I think thought diversity is absolutely key, and you don't get real thought diversity unless you have diversity of backgrounds, of gender, of ethnicity, because you get different perspectives of how you see life. And for me, you get really good, high-performing teams when you are able to have a very diverse group who look at a problem differently. If everyone is thinking of the problem the same way, you're not going to get people questioning and asking the right questions to make sure that you are getting to the best solution possible. So diversity at all layers is just so critical.
Tessa, what's been the most transformative learning experience and your most successful undertaking with your career thus far? That's a big question.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. What's been the most transformative learning experience and your most successful undertaking within your career thus far? We can come back to you.
Yeah, you might need to come back to me. I'm growing and learning all the time, but I can't really name one specific thing.
So I'll share something probably a little bit more personal. Mine was going through the Target breach. So I was one of the lead security people when Target had the massive breach. And it was so awful. I mean, really awful as like a Target employee, as a leader in security. It was just a really terrible time for the company, and you feel like personally responsible. And I remember like the weeks and days and months after that, where people acted differently. And from just like a core, like, who are you? How are you going to act? Like that stretched a lot in me, to the point where like people around you, I mean, there's all these like psychological studies that talk about like in times of really high stress, people act differently. Well, people that I normally would think wouldn't do terrible things did terrible things and threw people under the bus and, you know, said things that weren't true. And so from just a transformational leadership period, that was mine. Like I had to decide, like, how am I going to act? Like, am I going to be the person that's going to stand out, that's going to be different?
Like you were saying, Lisa, there's so many times, I think, and opportunities to have a transformational. I think I'll go to a more technical one, which was when I was at Digital River and we were trying to figure out how to take what was a product that ran in a single data center and get it to run in multiple data centers in active data center mode. And it was a ton of work. I mean, I was working so many hours. I was pregnant with my second child and working evenings because we could only do certain things at like 1 in the morning. And I learned through that just the perseverance of what I was doing and the passion for what I was doing. I loved so much what I was doing every single day. That actually the number of hours I was working wasn't bothering me as much as probably my husband and my other daughter. And I learned as well how important it was to have a goal that you could get a team behind and to be able to articulate that goal in a way that gets everyone just excited about what they're doing, and that is going to drive people to great things.
Move on to the next one.
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay. Well, how about this to compound on that stress? What's the next step in your career?
Well, I just made a really big step in the past 6 months, and I had my first job after changing careers, where I worked in an in-house dev team for a company. I just worked on their products that only their employees used. There was one product that I worked on, so I was just working on the same code base all day, every day. And also I sent out like near 100 resumes to get that first job. And then when I was kind of thinking about maybe moving on, I just sent out 2 resumes, and I ended up at Cloudburst. Zach here is one of the founders. And so there it's just rapid prototyping of tons of new projects for entrepreneurs, making a new thing all the time, in a different tech stack all the time, with a much broader range of responsibilities than I had before. So I'm still like just in like a super growing all the time mode. Not like panicking, but like every day I'm doing something brand new and learning tons. So I don't know that I need any additional challenges right now. I'm just gonna keep doing this and get better at it.
I'm just reflecting on your question. It's interesting because I feel like if you ask the panel of men that question, you'd be like, well, this is my next title, and this is my next role. I don't think women think like that. And I certainly don't. Like, I don't have like a title. Experiences is dumb, but I've done a bunch of coding. I want to like be an awesome Python coder. And so like, I'm trying to like learn that slowly. And just like the impact. So, you know, I currently, like I've always led security, and I just recently took on a new role doing more on like the IT information system side. And again, like I fall to like the impact. Like I want to like really have an impact within that area, whether it's, you know, supporting the team or driving the team or whatever it is. Like it's more about impact and experiences for me.
Those are great answers. I totally agree with you. I think for me, it's more about, am I really enjoying what I'm doing? And again, in technology, you're going to get the opportunity to do so many different things, and it's going to change every few years. So being not bored is kind of my goal, and making sure that I am bringing a team and exciting a group of people around the mission is really important to me, and the title not so much. SPS Commerce has been growing like crazy since I've been there for the past 5 years, and so the opportunities are going to continue to be there to have more responsibility. I think my area of responsibility has doubled since I've been there, and so that's going to come as long as I'm really enjoying what I do. Title doesn't really matter. It's just more about what I do every day.
So, I think you mentioned that you have a mentor, or if you don't have a mentor, some kind of an influential leader. How has that made a difference in your life and your career?
You know, I think I haven't had formal mentors my whole career, but just good friends that I talk to, people that I respect, whose opinions I go to when I need them. And perfect when I needed it. I'm about my worst critic is me, and I can be very difficult and hard on myself. And sometimes just going to those people I trust, whose opinions really matter, can help me to gain my confidence again. And so it's been more about confidence building and less about the technical details of how to do things for me. And having those people who are able to kind of build me up when I need it has been very important.
Yeah, I have one mentor that I use pretty regularly that helps me with like my nonprofit, but it ends up like bleeding over to professional life too, which is kind of interesting. And then I have one professional mentor that I feel like I've called on for the last like 10 years. And again, like similar to Amy, like not really technical leadership because I can pretty much Google anything and find the answers. But more or less like considering a job change or considering, doing this or wanting a connection or needing advice on something. I'll definitely use that mentor for those types of questions.
Yeah, I also haven't had anyone like ongoing mentor over the course of my career, but I have had just various people who were kind of in the right place at the right time for me when I was trying to make a specific decision about a job or an educational opportunity or some other project. So yeah, and it's been about just confidence and sort of weighing the pros and cons of one path versus another. And I've also sort of felt like the lack of that made my journey harder, and that's healthier time that I did.
What are the top 3 characteristics, in your opinion, of a great leader?
Transparency, trust, and honesty.
Those are good ones. I would say honesty is absolutely critical as well. Passion, and collaborate across ideas.
I'm going to agree with honesty, and then I'm also going to say that I'm going to call it storytelling. Similar to what you described earlier in terms of being able to sort of rally people behind you, behind a common goal, and make that seem, I don't know, important to everyone on the team, regardless of what their position or their, job description is.
All right, I have one more for you, and I'll go to some questions out there. Think of any. If you could only give one piece of advice, what would you tell somebody just starting their journey in tech? And what is one thing you wish you knew early on in your career?
My advice would be don't be afraid to fail. I was afraid of far too much in my career, and that I think held me back at times when I saw my peers maybe not held back. And again, I go back to that. I was my worst critic. I was really hard on myself if I wasn't perfect. But failure is so critical to learning and improving that you have to just embrace it sometimes. What was the second question?
What did you wish you would have known?
I wish I would have known. I'm gonna hold on that one.
My advice, I love the just fail. I feel like you learn the most when you fail. The other advice would just be like, be unapologetically yourself. And know like what you want to go for and go for it, and don't be sorry that you like this over that, or don't be sorry that you were bold about something. Really just be like unapologetically like yourself and go for it. And then what was the second question?
What's something you wish you would have known early on in your career?
Wish I would have known that you're going to be in situations where your ideas and you as a woman in technology aren't always going to be accepted. I feel like I fell into those situations and then was like, wait a minute, what? Like my ideas aren't accepted, and so just having the awareness that not everybody has a perception that women fit in this field, and finding like the roles and the people that you can surround yourself that do think that way is important.
I don't know if I can summarize it in one like nugget of advice, but what I wish I had known was to not make my career and my decisions about my career and educational path be all about the money. In terms of like, oh, I'd love to, go to this school or pursue this interest, but I can't afford it, or I'm going to take this job because it seems like there's going to be a lot of opportunity there and I'm going to make a lot of money. I feel like if I had started just following my passions and finding ways to make the money.
Because I do feel like I spent so much of the first part of my career kind of hiding who I was. And I wish I had known that the person I was okay, and have to look was different and meaningful. And that's not how I felt at the outset of my career. I felt like very much like I had to try to fit a certain mold, and that I didn't understand until later that my uniqueness was a value, and that even if I wasn't the same as good at something that I saw my peers being good at, I was really good at something different, and that had value. So I wish I could have known that earlier.
Awesome. All right. Any questions out there? Happy birthday.
Hello?
All right. Easy catch.
That's pretty interesting. Okay, at first I want to thank you all so much, everyone on the panel. It's just been fantastic. I'm so inspired. My team made a career change 2 years ago. No regrets. Had a lot of fun on the first career, but was ready to do another one. Anyway, talk about Neil. But I would like to know what you guys like to read. And not what you're supposed to read, what you like to read.
Let's see, the book that I am just finishing up right now is Beautiful Boy. It's a bit of a documentary. I like having that. It's depressing, but yeah, so that's what I'm reading right now. That's kind of not the work type of reading.
I don't read for fun, to be honest. I should, but I don't.
Not what you're supposed to read.
Right. So I honestly I guess I do sort of read for fun because I read a lot of like leadership books, and those are sort of work related, but I do like them. So the Brené Brown, like Dare to Lead, is one that I'm reading right now. And I typically have 5 books that I'm reading at like one time. And so I'm reading that one. Our CEO typically like assigns us reading, so I'm reading one of those. I love reading the DevOps Handbook, and so I'll frequently go back to that one. Yeah, I'm a total dork. Yeah, so those are probably my top ones right now.
Yeah, I have the Clean Code Handbook sitting on my desk, and it's been there for like, well, actually Kevin's been borrowing it for like 6 months, but yeah, I'm never gonna read it. I just don't like learn that way. But I do strongly enjoy science fiction, especially dystopia. There's a lot of new young adult kinds of stories coming out that are good, I don't mind. Yeah. It can have zombies, but it doesn't have to.
Oops. Oh, I think we lost the mic on that one.
Did it go out?
Oh, yeah, kind of, it's not there.
It's in the circle.
And this, I think this will pertain to two of you, but as a mother, I sometimes find it hard for like the work-life balance. What have you done to make it easier in your lives for the whole balance and kids and family?
We all have kids.
Oh, you all have kids, okay.
Um, I hire nannies to do the jobs I don't want to do myself. That's kind of my trick. I know, right? And honestly, like, going back to my earlier point, like, you know, moms can beat themselves up about like having a career, and I've thought about this a lot, and I honestly feel like I'm a better mom because I work. I don't know if you guys can relate or not, but I certainly feel like, I mean, I'm so much more engaged for the time that I do have each evening. I value my time so much more. It's intentional, and yeah, every day is like a juggling, hectic, crazy. I don't think that will ever change, but you get really good at prioritizing and knowing when you can push something off to prioritize your family, and having the nanny fill in for the jobs that are time consuming and not so much fun, it's really ideal.
Well, first of all, my co-parent doesn't work. I'm the sole breadwinner, so that helps a lot. And secondly, yeah, I think a lot about how my mom did not like her job, and I always felt sorry for her. Like my whole childhood, I was like, why are you at this? Yeah, you know, and she was like, well, I gotta make money. You know, somebody's gotta put dinner on the table, and so I feel it's really important to me to feel like I'm setting a good example for my son, that I'm working a job that I love, and you know, I'm also working a job where I'm allowed to leave at 5, or you know, whatever time I need to leave to make my family and my whole life work well. So I'm able to, you know, give my son a lot of piggyback rides when I get home, still have energy because he has a ton and he hasn't seen me all day. You know, he wants a piggyback ride for sure, like every day.
I find for me that balance is a little bit up here. It's if I feel like what I'm doing is really important, I can get lost in it. I've certainly, and that makes me a better person at home when I'm happy with what I'm doing, whether I'm working a lot of hours or not. And I've had times in my career where I wasn't like that, and that I would take that home, you know, and that's not good because not only are you working a lot of hours, but you're not fulfilled, or I wasn't fulfilled at the time. And I actually got to a point where I had to take a career break. So I did take about 8 months off at one point, and I took a whole summer off, kind of regrouped and decided, what do I want to do next? I didn't even know if I wanted to get back into kind of IT operations again. I had been doing it for so long. Spent a lot of time with my kids, loving the summer, reconnecting, re-understanding what hit my passion culture of where I go to work. This is what I want from a work-life balance. What does work-life balance mean to me? And so that helped with being super clear with my boss, and that was at SPS Commerce, about what I wanted going straight in. But even more so, I had told myself what I wanted. And so I think so many times work-life balance begins with yourself. No one else can help to balance your career but yourself. And for every person, work-life balance is different. And so it's a very individual thing. It might, for some people, it's I'm going to go home at exactly a certain time every day and spend that with the kids. And for other people, school, it's a little more dynamic and it gets to just a fulfillment perspective.
Thank you.
So putting on your kind of futurist hat, do you see any particular areas in technology where you think women have some really good opportunities for growth, or are you still think this across the board?
Everywhere. I don't think there's a limit to any certain part of technology for women or even like a level. It's just a matter of time in some cases and of opportunities.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, across the board, like any part of technology, we just need to see more women.
Hi, we are moving from the very startup perspective into a little bit much more of an established organization. And what I'm wondering is, what can organizations do to open doors for women to tech leader? Can you say the last part of that? What can organizations do to open doors for women who want to move into tech later in their careers?
Actually, no, I had to change jobs to change careers. I wasn't able to continue in my advertising role. I wanted to move into tech and I did not find the opportunities that I was looking for. But at my last job, there was one woman who was interested in moving into tech, and I think just like you changed roles here, there was one woman who was sort of, at first she was just part-time. They were finding stuff for her to do in the IT room, and sometimes it was like moving computers around or whatever. But then eventually, it seemed like she really wanted to be there, and they moved her full-time and just started training her. It seems overly simplistic.
I'm thinking about like some of the things that we've done here at Code 42. There's a plethora of women that work in tech at Code 42, but one of the things we've done like within security is we've set up kind of shadow programs, and I guess I would say is like have whoever it is that wants to make a change later in their career, just prove it. Like prove that you're insanely interested and that you're doing the work to show your value in the space. This is a story about a male who moved from a very non-security role into security, but showed a passion, set up time, shared what he was after, went out and got certifications, went through all these trainings. I'd be speaking at like security conferences and like he would be in the audience. And so eventually we were like, okay, this guy is completely serious, and we pulled him into the security team. And so I would just say, like, similar to what he did, prove it. Like, do all the work to show that, we are absolutely capable of this, and we have the skill set to do it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. It just comes so much from showing the passion that you have for what you're doing is going to get other people excited about the fact that you can do it. I do think that there are things that can be done to increase the opportunities for people who are just starting in a technology career, whether they're early or late in life. I've seen so many companies that because they have come in earlier, and I think even that depends on, it doesn't matter if you're early in your career or later in your career, that opportunity is important for companies
Or the companies that you're working for are doing to build that workforce early on?
That's a great question. This is something I'm really passionate about as well. SPS Commerce has been a sponsor of the Aspirations for Women in Computing since 2014. And it's a program that provides awards to high school young women who are interested in technology. And it has been so inspiring for me to listen to the stories of these young women. I can't tell you how brilliant they are and the work that they're doing. If you haven't been to one of these programs, you really should go check it out. And as part of that, we also offer internships for the high school students, which has been an interesting experience for our managers to get them used to, okay, so this is not just an intern, but it's a high school intern. And so you're going to have to just make sure that your team understands that. And don't treat them like they're there just to play. Give them something meaningful to do. And so we've given these young women really meaningful projects, and they have amazed us. And I think that is important to be encouraging them when they're in 10th and 11th and 12th grade, because then they're going to stick with it. They're going to have that in their mind that they can really do this. We provide them mentors while they're with us, so that not only they're doing something meaningful that they can gain confidence from, but we're providing them someone to ask questions about career advice, or just to talk things through, because it's a little bit difficult. And so I think that for us is how we are helping to keep giving back to this women in tech.
I mentioned before, Code 482, we've established this like formal relationship with the Girl Scouts, and our first event here, we hosted 60 Girl Scouts to get their STEM badge, and then the Girl Scouts launched a cybersecurity badge, and we were the first company within the entire region to host the girls to have their cybersecurity badge. So we had 100 girls here learning about cybersecurity, which was amazing. Probably like my favorite day. It was just incredible. But personally, like I'm trying really hard to just speak at different events, or St. Cloud has like a really great program of just like inspiring women to choose fields in technology. So personally, I'm kind of taking a little bit of responsibility to just get out there. And again, I have 3 girls myself, and I can tell you right now, one of them is 100% never going to be in a technology role. But again, like our responsibility is to just make sure that these younger generation women know that there's a place for them if they choose that this is their passion.
I'm personally involved in the Aspirations in Computing program also, and in the past have mentored with the Technovation Challenge, which is a maybe 3-month program for high school and junior high age girls. I also mentored a bit with the Coder Dojo, and my company actually is a B Corporation, a benefit corporation, whose mission is to increase opportunities for underrepresented groups in tech. And that was one thing that made me really excited about coming to work there. And the ways that we do that are partly through an apprenticeship program that we have. So we hire like very junior developers, and they have a paid position with us for 6 months, and they have opportunities to learn on the job. And we're also kind of evaluating or evolving like how that's going to look, or we've talked about going even younger to high school age kids, or to like people who are about to start at a boot camp before they start, something like that. So it's open to ways to improve it, and if you have ideas, I'll make my business card after.
Awesome. Well, thank you 3 for joining us today.
Another round of applause. This was awesome. Thank you so very much. I want to introduce one other person right now, Valerie Lockhart. And Valerie, if I recall, you're the director of the Minnesota Women in Tech. You know that you would love to come up and just say a few words. That's excellent. Thank you.
So thank you everybody for coming tonight. This is a great turnout. You guys are amazing panelists. Thank you. It was very inspirational. I run the Minnesota Women in Tech, and we do a monthly meetup, different topics every month, kind of a support networking group for women either working in the field or wanting to get into the field. So companies will send me positions if they have openings looking for more diversity in their workforce, and I share those out with the group that we have. We have about 1,000 women in our group statewide. So different opportunities all the time. Another thing we're launching is Wednesday nights at the Minneapolis Television Network, which is over in Northeast. We're doing a live stream presentation, kind of regular meetup. So if you want to practice a presentation, if you are looking to gain more confidence in public speaking, that kind of thing, we have that available. So you can email me and we'll get you scheduled so you can practice. It's really good to videotape yourself doing that because then you actually see what's working and what's not. So that's another opportunity we have. But anyway, back to why we're here. Tonight we are here to give awards for Pioneer Women in Tech. This is our second year doing the award, and Code 42 has been super awesome sponsoring and hosting this event. So it's really cool that tonight we get to give one of those awards to one of Code 42's staff. So JD is one of our winners this year. I won't read through her bio again because you've already been hearing lots about her, but we do have this really cool award that we would like to give you. Thank you so much for all that you're doing. Definitely an inspiration for all of us with doing some other kind of presentation. But her name is Shauna Hughes. She's a Salesforce administrator, and also just co-founded a nonprofit called Pep Up Tech, which is reaching out to specifically young people of color to get them into technology roles. So I'll just read her bio to you. I personally know Shauna. She is an amazing lady who I have no idea if she ever sleeps, because she has so much stuff going on. But she is the co-lead for the Salesforce Women in Tech Diversity Group and also spearheads a volunteer effort called Minneapolis Trailhead for All. Provides free Salesforce training to middle school age students. She is highly recognized in the Salesforce professional circles and is a new co-founder of the new nationwide nonprofit called Pep Up Tech, empowering young, underrepresented people of color to pursue careers in technology. So I will make sure that Shauna gets that award, and I highly encourage all of you to start thinking about who you can recognize in your own networks, in your own communities, because we do really have to boost each other up. It's super important to mentor and to reach out and let other women know that they have support. So awards like this help, and panels like this help. So thank you all for being involved.
Thank you so much, everybody. There's still some